Sound check. All right, I'm live and got a quick presentation to go through. Oh, you want it a little louder? Is that any better? Hey, Joe. Can you hear me all right? Just let me know if the audio is loud enough coming through okay. Good. All right, thanks. So the title of this, quick hangout. Hey, Garth. I've been out doing a lot of surveying, Garth. I've got a lot in store for people, collecting quite a bit of measurements over the past few weeks. So let me get right into this. The title of this is Chris Van Matre, not a flat earth surveyor anymore. There he is. Remember this picture? This used to be on Chris's YouTube channel. This is what drew my attention to Chris to try to have a conversation with him, but he ran away. So here's his channel now with his fancy hat that he likes and doing experiments to expose the deceptions. Well, you know, I don't think so. You've got the equipment to do some real experimentation, but it looks like you don't know how to do it, is what I've concluded. I gave this guy the benefit of the doubt. I really thought he was a surveyor. Okay, licensed or not, I thought he had some experience. It's very clear if you go back and listen to the couple of hangouts we had. At best, he's an instrument operator. He knows how to turn the equipment on at best. So I made this video detailing a very simple test that he could do, and he pretty much has publicly stated that there's no test. He would not be convinced by these measurements. That's interesting. So, and I went through it all and described it in great detail. And he was supposed to have done that prior to our second hangout. He didn't do it. And I provided all of the documentation that anybody could ever want, as a beginner, to go and look at what we do as surveyors, the standards and specifications that we follow and make use of, and for quality assurance to make sure that our work is correct. And I made this video, and in the comment section provided links to all of this, how we do the statistical analysis on our repeated measurements. I guess at this point here, I'll make the comment that Chris literally said in our hangout that you should not measure more than once. And everybody knows the old carpenter's, saying, measure twice, cut once. In surveying, we measure things more than once, and we do a statistical analysis on that, compute the average, the standard deviation, to compute the precision of what we're doing. This is all part of what we do as surveyors. And I'm not going in depth here, but I'm just trying to speak from the layman's level of what we do. And he literally said, you should not do that, because if you measure more than once, you increase the error. That's the quote. You can go back and hear him say that. So some people thought that I was stumped by him. Again, here's all the links to all these documents you can go and look at. So I've heard that people think that I was stumped by him. I wasn't stumped. I was stupefied. I mean, he was saying things that I couldn't, believe that a surveyor would be saying. And that took me by surprise, literally. And, it takes me time to kind of react to that. And this video here right now is a little bit of a later reaction to the, the silly things he was saying. And so, but, he is the flat earth surveying hero. So flat earthers are going to just believe him, having no knowledge of any of this information. They can't be expected to. I mean, look, for one thing, they believe the earth is flat. So, we got to start with that. And then, and they believe that without any evidence. Okay. So it's not like they're going to go read these books and figure out what surveying is all about. And again, that's why I am interested in talking to surveyors who say the earth is flat, because to me, they're misrepresenting the facts. And Chris did a good job of letting everyone know, especially surveyors. I mean, if you look at the comments in the couple hangouts, the surveyors in there are basically saying, they wouldn't hire him to do anything. So anyway, surveyors will know by what Chris is saying, and then again, this is not flat earth versus globe. This is basically on just in terms of surveying itself. Chris made it very clear doesn't even understand the fundamentals. And that's probably why he's run away and taken his theodolite picture off his YouTube channel. He didn't even know what book this was. He had no familiarity with this. Again, I'm kind of going through the slides I presented that evening on our last hangout we had. He had no idea about any of this. I think he had one of these books. I forget which one, but the rest he basically said, "Oh, we have those in the office." Anybody who's been in surveying for 30 years, like he says he has, owns these books. He's never done an astronomic observation. I mean, that right there is telling that he's never even attempted this or learned anything about doing astronomic observations for azimuth. He doesn't have this book, hadn't even heard of this book. This is like a standard. This is like Robotham to flat earth. This is the book for surveyors. How do we get to the truth? Well, we make observations. Those observations contain random error. That random error needs to be analyzed, and it's through corrections that we apply that we get the truth, or as close to the truth as you can get. You never get the exact true answer. You can only attempt repeating yourself, and that's why we follow the methods and procedures that we do, so that we can have some assurance at some level of confidence, let's say at a 95% confidence level, that we've established a position to within X, whether it's 3 millimeters or 1 centimeter or 2 inches, whatever tolerances you're supposed to be working to. There's a way to do that. He doesn't seem to be familiar with it. So he goes on and on talking about why he never became licensed. That's a choice. I tried to make him aware, and anybody that was listening, that, hey, not everyone chooses a track in their profession or in their career to become licensed, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody, you do what you want to do in life, but there is this path to become certified as a technician. And at his level or at his length of time in the business, he should be able to take level 3 and pass immediately. I kind of doubt that he could, but there it is. Go ahead and get your level 3 certification as a survey technician, Chris. But I don't think he's a flat earth surveyor anymore. I think he's pulling back from that because of the changes he made on his channel. You can download these tests from the website, and there are sample tests. You can take a look at those. I brought this up. Has he ever even tested his equipment on a calibration baseline? No, hasn't done it. That's like pretty standard procedure right there. We discussed all this, and the use of calibration baselines, all these documents, and these are the same slides I went through in that last hangout. And then this was it. When Chris presented this so-called test of his, the things that he said, it's all back there. You can go listen to it. Really showed that he does not understand how these instruments work, how they operate. And if he did, he would do the test I asked him to do. So he's not doing this L test, the L-shaped test that I've asked him to do. Either because he can't do it, he doesn't know how to do it, in other words. Okay, even though I described it in great detail, he can't do it, or he can do it and he knows what it will show, and therefore he is not going to do it and he's not going to share it. Flat earthers may be satisfied with that. They're going to say, why should he do that? Well, you know what? If you're sincere and honest and really searching for the truth of things, why would you not do that experiment? He's got experiments up on his website. He's supposed to be a surveyor. He's supposed to have 30 years in this business. Why don't you go ahead and perform that test and tell everyone, how that reconciles with the flat earth model. Okay. But this discussion here really showed that he literally pointed this at a telephone pole, and he pointed this in the direct, and he never flopped the scope and looked at it in the reverse. He's on public, he's publicly recorded saying, no, I didn't do that. Well, no duh, man. No kidding. These two instruments are pointing slightly differently at that telephone pole 2 miles away. It's surprising that they were within 1.5 feet of each other. So anyway, moving on. So Chris is not a surveyor. Let's just make that very clear. Chris is not a surveyor. And we went into GPS, asked some questions about GPS, and surprisingly, he agreed with me. And I'm so glad that we have the blessing of the flat earth surveyor that that GPS works. It's on agricultural equipment. They can drive these combines up and down the lanes within 6 inches of pass by pass. And of course he mentioned the construction equipment, and I already had this slide here. You can go look at these videos of GPS on all types of construction equipment, bulldozers, road graders, you name it. And these are literally controlling the blade. The guy sitting up here in the cab hardly has to, he really doesn't touch the controls to move the blade anymore, because it's all being done by GPS and by the proposed grades that are loaded up digitally into the software. And back to this test, he's not going to do it, but I did it. All right, so I will be making a video demonstrating. These are my observations. I haven't really presented these yet, but I did this that night to show him what we're after, repeated observations, and I encouraged him to actually GPS those points at the end of the test for further discussion. But he's gone and run away. So, we can't talk to Chris anymore. So I'm looking for someone else, I guess, that wants to step in and take his place. But had he gone ahead and done the test, and had he GPS those points, we would be able to go through the rest of the list that is in the comment, is in the description box of that first Hangout. It's a whole list of topics that we were supposed to go through. We never made it. So this is where my L-shaped test is, and in a golf course. I will make a video about that. I've got that one, and I got several others waiting to be. Well, I've already processed the data. It's a matter of putting it into a presentation form, to get across what is going on. But this is Chris's book. He spends so much time looking at a book like this, and he bait and switched me. He was presenting Robotham's book in that first Hangout while he had up on the screen Robotham's book, but he was talking about a different book. which, that was just a bait and switch there. That's not an honest conversation. So yeah, back to his channel. What's he doing now? Star trails. This is your experiment. For the amount of time you're out here wasting doing this stuff, you should go get this book, learn how to do an observation to Polaris, and calculate the azimuth of the line, the line that you're observing on Earth. Do it for your own edification, or do it to debunk it. In other words, you ought to have the skill set to be able to do this. And if you truly believe the Earth is flat and that the sun is close and that the stars are on the dome and all of these things, then, through this process, you should be able to debunk this, show us how it's wrong. But you're not going to touch it. So Chris is out of here. So who's next? Chris didn't want to have an honest conversation. He did not want to continue on. And I definitely, I didn't do anything to persuade him to reach that decision. I treated him very fairly. So I was trying to have a real conversation with the guy. He's gone. So that's over. And looking forward to the next surveyor who believes the Earth is flat. I'd like to have a conversation with you. Let's go look at the chat, and then I want to say good night and go get some dinner. Let's see what's happening. Good evening, everybody. I got 44 watching. That's pretty good. Hey, John. Terman is saying he said that seriously, asking me. You just have to go back and listen to the Hangouts. They're going to stay up there for people to listen, and you can hear it for yourself. Well, Miles, this is me. That's me just attracting some views here, Miles. This is me saying he's not a flat Earth surveyor anymore because he pulled his theodolite picture off his YouTube channel. I guess he's a surveyor by day and flat earther by night. I don't know. He's one thing he's not doing is taking his surveying equipment and doing any type of measuring that shows us the Earth is flat. And I've said all along through these Hangouts, subsequent to him running away, that his measurements are just like mine. But he's never going to show that, okay? And I'm putting the pressure on because I think that flat earthers who believe people who believe the Earth is flat and regard him as some expert ought to press him and say, look, does your surveying equipment show what Jesse's does? Is there curvature or not? Just do the test. That's all I'm trying to get across. And I want to give a big shout out to Miles because I'm a big fan right now with the fantastic work you did with your series of videos. I'm loving that. And I was glad to see Walter model it for you. It's pretty cool. What else is going on? Yeah, I agree. I don't think he is aware of the history. Although he did say that he has the book that I've been asking people to read. The history of the determination of the size of the shape of the Earth through arc measurements. I brought that into this discussion. I was the one that brought that forward to get people to take a look at it. And what do? They have to dismiss it. They're not going to read that and think there's any validity to that history. It's fantastic history. In fact, with what Miles Davis has been doing, prompted me to really take a closer look at all the history in Great Britain and the Great Trigonometrical Survey there, which let me go back to my YouTube channel this way. Let's see. My channel. This is pretty cool now. I can post things in the community. And I actually just posted the link to this book right here. The Ordnance, Trigonometrical Survey of Great Britain and Ireland. Account of the observations and calculations of the principal triangulations and of the figure, dimensions, and mean specific gravity of the Earth as derived therefrom. And this book was published, I believe, there it is, 1858. And there are some really good maps in there where you can go to look at those maps. There's some really good stuff I've been digging up. This site here, this David Rumsey map collection is really fantastic. Yeah, go check out these maps, all around the world. And oh, also this Charles Close Society. This is like, I guess Charles Close was a figure. I haven't read all this yet, but this is a pretty neat website. It's I guess attributable to this individual who was probably one of the directors of the Ordnance Survey. So they have their history here, maps, and a lot of good information here. Old reports. I like this stuff. And over here in the United States, I've made people aware of this one. I got a comment here from Geistview. I haven't looked at that yet. This is a similar thing. It has to do with the transcontinental triangulation across the United States. And so you can get that book. The thing's 3 inches thick. It's literally filled with their observation data, how they did it, what they did, the towers they had to build, everything. So it's awesome. Well, let's see if I can catch up to all the chat here. I don't want to stay on long though, folks. I might have to read these later. Yeah, I'm not good at like doing this in live in a live setting. It's a lot here. Wow. I'm glad you're all here though. Thank you for coming. And it looks like you're having some good conversation among yourselves. That's good. So measure 3 times, cut. Yeah. I'll have to drop back and read these later and see if there's anything I should be answering, Garth. Well, yeah, there was some guy who came forward saying he was a surveyor. I said, hey, send me an email. Never did. So never heard from him. It's pretty. Let's see. Geist, I think your name is Geistview. Geistview. Yeah. Shall we look it up? We can look it up, get the data sheet on this. What state is that in? In California. All right. You want to play a little? I'm going to stay on just a little bit longer. I got to go get some dinner. Uh, let's go here to go to. These are not in order. Come back over and Hensley Lake. Let's see. Well, maybe oops. Go up. East tip of Hensley Lake. That one's not coming up. All right, we got to do this a different way. It's not coming up in this method. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. I keep doing that. L683. Oh, why am I doing that? I'm an alt tabber. All right. L683. Oh, I think I did. I think that popped up in the other view. All right. That's not easy to read. Let's do this. That's better. So that is a second order class 0 benchmark. The horizontal position is not surveyed. It's scaled from a topographic map, which you'll oftentimes find that's the case with vertical benchmarks. And so it's posted to the nearest tenth of a foot in elevation. If this was a first order benchmark, then this would be to the nearest millimeter, and this might be out to the hundredth place, like 6.0 or 6.1 or something. And then if it were also located by triangulation or traverse or GPS, the latitude and longitude would be completely filled in as well. So it's near my property. Hey, get a GPS location on it. Hello, Homestar. Alrighty, I'm gonna have to. It's 7:38 here. I need to get going. Thanks for coming, everybody. Here's what's coming up. I'll give you a lowdown. I do have. Let me just show you real quick the observations that I need to make some videos about. Let's see. I've got GPS compared to electronic distance measuring. I did that for a surveyor who came into my comments section on, I guess, one of my last videos, and he did not have a clear understanding of how GPS literally works. So I did some testing, which I have done numerous times in the past, but I did this, and I'll make a video comparing the EDM, that is the electronic distance measurement made between a total station, from a total station instrument to a reflector. Then you take the reflector off and you take the total station off. You put two GPS receivers up, one where the total station was, and you put a GPS receiver where the reflector was. You log raw data, you process the vector between those 2 points, and it matches the EDM. So I got to make a video on that. I guess maybe some of you saw the video I did answering Rayism. I've accepted his challenge. So go back and look at that video. I say, hey, we should use the AE map as our basis of survey. And here's my L test. I have to make a video on that. I did solar observations at this park, and it's actually the same park where I did this. I actually did this on the same line that I did the solar observation. So I need to make a video on that. All right, so that's a bunch of stuff in the can that I got to get to. So here's what's coming up for me, and I'm very excited about, is that next week, not next week, week after, or sometime in December, I'm going to be going to make some long distance observations, simultaneous reciprocal zenith angle observations with Larry Scott. And we're going to measure some very long lines, like 6 miles, maybe even 11 miles if we can reach that far. So that is going to be fun. And of course, when we're out there doing that stuff, we are also going to observe the sun for azimuth on the line. And then at dusk, either Polaris or Aries or some other stellar body that we can observe for azimuth. And there's going to be some GPS involved too. So that is going to be a couple of good days of survey fun. And the big deal, and I'll, if you haven't heard already, I'm going back down to meet up with Soundly, and we're going to survey the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway, saturate it with GPS on the northbound lane and coming back on the southbound. And maybe I'll do that 2 or 3 times. We're going to pepper that thing so that we'll literally have the shape of the concrete, every hump, all the humps, everything. And that is, I know, I figured you would be, John. You would kind of be digging the Astro stuff. So, yeah, I think Red is going to be there at the same time. Just kind of watching the last comments at the bottom here. So, but yeah, John, I think you're going to like the Astro stuff. And I can't wait to get Larry on. I asked Larry to come on tonight, but he was busy traveling. But I'd like to do a hangout with him sometime and talk some geodetic survey. Larry's been in the business a lot longer than me. He's done a lot more things than I've ever done. And I really enjoy learning from people that have been doing this stuff for the number of years he has, and the very interesting work that he's been involved in all around the world. So pretty cool stuff. Also, I don't know if anybody tuned in to watch this that Nathan Oakley guy berate a guy named Paul James. He's not a surveyor now. He doesn't practice as a surveyor, but his whole career, or before what he was doing now, he was a surveyor. He was doing geodetic surveying. He's from Australia, and he went on that Nathan Oakley show to try to explain leveling, and it was ridiculous. It's like Nathan wouldn't even let him get a word out. I mean, literally. So when Paul comes on, I want to have a hangout with Paul. He was unable tonight as well, but maybe we'll do it soon. I'll be Nathan, and I'm going to say things like, "Why did you say that? Why are you talking? Why do you want to share your screen? Why are you showing us that picture?" I mean, it's like the guy couldn't say anything. So anyway. Wow. Sammy here says that he called the licensing board and reported Chris. Why would you do such a thing? I wouldn't do that. My God, that's pretty drastic. Whatever. That's touchy stuff there, man. Look, I just want to reiterate, I don't have it in for the guy. Remember, he had the YouTube channel. He had the picture looking through the theodolite. He got my attention. That's why this all started. So wow, I would love to stay here and do this some more, but I do need to get going because it's going to get too late, and then you shouldn't eat too late. I want to try to get some dinner. Thanks for everybody for coming, and hopefully I'll get a lot of these videos made sooner than later. But like I said, the big things coming up are in the next couple weeks, meeting with Larry Scott to do some really interesting geodetic work across the valley where he is. And see you later, Garth. Thanks for coming. And then, of course, in January, measuring the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. All right, good night, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. I'll say good night. Bye.